Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast, episode number 72. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Book Inside Friday. It's the ending of the Kids with Guns series. So, part 5 is all about conversations about gun control and what can be done and how can we alleviate all this stuff and how can we not fall into what these agendas are and what's being pushed and why and all of those things. And um, you know, I delve into also Matthew and Max, and you kind of get some last thoughts and some other surprises that happen to finish the series, and I had to write some things that are out of the ordinary. Now, there's always the element of surprise with most of my books, and well, it's just fun to do. It keeps you guys on your toes, and it makes good for storytelling. And I enjoyed writing this series and bringing you through a different perspective on what happens during a school shooting and after, and the community, and uh, how cities and towns uh, deal with these things. And, uh, you know, you hear it from the perspective of just every possible person that can be involved or indirectly involved. And while I've never experienced a school shooting, I kind of knew the challenge that it would be for me to tell stories from different perspectives. But the goal was to be real, raw, honest, and compelling. And there were a total of, I think, 26 characters throughout the 5 book series. So just think of how many stories I had to tell and to make them believable, understandable, and have an emotional impact on you, because it's all about you guys. It's all about keeping you guys engaged and getting you to emote and also getting you to think. And that's the biggest goal in all of the books that I write, getting you to think. Now, granted, this was, granted, most of the characters I've written in, the book series, The World We Live In, which had 19 characters, that was 19 characters for 5 straight books. At least the 26 characters in this Kids with Guns series were kind of spread out. There were very few characters that were actually in all 5 books of the series. I would say Lena, Jerry, Mark, and Brittany, I think, were the four characters that I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, yeah, and Charles. I think those were the 5 characters that were in all 5 books of the series. Even Matthew and Max, the young kids who caused the school shooting, they were only in 4 of the 5 books of the series, along with their parents. And I would say the defense attorney was in 3 of the books. The prosecutor was in, I think, 3 of the 5. So when you sit and you really look at the broader perspective of it, I had to have certain characters in all the books. Certain characters were in a few of them. So it was just important for me to make sure that I'm not putting a character in a book just because I felt like it or I felt like they needed to be in it. I had to make sure that I gave them some sort of story to tell and some sort of good perspective on what they're thinking, and it fits the storyline of what I'm trying to convey. And the writing that I'm doing, like I will continue to say, is totally different. It hasn't been done before, and it's something that I want to continually share with the world. And there are different ways and styles to do it. And this book series, I really hope, was my way of really letting you guys into what's really going on in the world and why. And like I've said throughout these podcasts every Friday, you've got to pay attention to certain characters and what's going into like what they're thinking. And if you pay attention to certain characters, you'll really start to key in on what these agendas are and what they're trying to push out, to the masses and to the world. And when these, tragic events do happen, it's all about causing emotion and it's causing you to be reactive. and not to really sit and process what's being done and why, and what the media is really trying to push, and what all of these evil people behind the scenes are really trying to do. And if you really sit and pay attention to uh, pretty much all of the school shootings, which I've, done my due diligence and looked into them and watched, certain things and paid attention to certain things, you'll start to fully understand what's being done here. And it becomes a recycle, reuse, repetitive, ordeal with what's going on with these. And these, unfortunate situations honestly need to stop, and the accountability needs to be held with so many different facets of who's involved and all of that good stuff. And when tragic events unfortunately happen, I always tell people follow the money, because there's money to be made off of negativity in this world. And it's an unfortunate circumstance, but there's only one way to change it, and we've all got to collectively do our part. And this Kids with Guns series, I hope, is doing my part. But the uncomfortable conversations do need to happen, and I hope I get to have those with really good people who really care about social issues. And that's my goal down the road, to have those conversations in an engaging way. And hopefully this series really opens people's eyes to what's really going on, and we stop kind of walking around with our blinders over our eyes, and really start to see the realities of what this world is, and looking deeper into what's being conveyed to us. And unfortunately, watching the news, you have to really decipher and pick and choose what's truth in fact, and what really needs to be investigated more and looked into more. And they use neuro-linguistic language with TV and broadcasting. I'm sorry, I apologize. I was going to say podcast. That doesn't correlate. But TV broadcasting and things of that nature. I didn't delve into that aspect of it with the Kids with Guns series. I wanted to really delve into it with talking about different people and how a school shooting impacts them directly and indirectly. I didn't have just characters that were affected directly. I also had some indirect characters, such as Max's ex-girlfriend, a former neighbor, Peter, which is also, he was a former friend. Anna, I think, was the neighbor that lived in a neighborhood. So those people are still impacted too. Everybody gets affected in some way, shape, or form, even if they are not directly experiencing it in that moment in time. So I had to make sure that I incorporated characters that weren't directly affected, at the school shooting, but they did see things ahead of time. They seen certain behaviors, how the parents were, how how Matthew and Max were, things of that nature. So, like I said, this is all in honing and developing my craft in writing these series. And Kids with Guns Part 5, you'll get different perspectives of different characters talking about what they feel about gun control, what's going on in America, how do we make not only America a better place, but also really having those uncomfortable conversations about gun control, and the Second Amendment and things of that nature. It wasn't about me sharing my thoughts and feelings on it. My goal was to pretty much, shine a light on what's really going on. I don't want to be someone that's going to write books that are about formulating opinions. My opinions and my feelings. It's about getting you to think, and getting you to emote, and getting you to feel, and getting you to say, oh, okay, yeah, this is deep. And that once I can get, a lot of people in that mindset, then then I've done what I'm supposed to do on my part. So, with that said, that's the ending of the Kids with Guns series. I don't know what's coming next Friday on my Book Insight. Okay, I'm lying. I do, but I'm not going to tell you. You just got to stay tuned. Have a good weekend, everyone. Be good, everyone, and go accomplish your goals.